Good evening. I'm now going to read Coleman Cuts the Mustard, Dr. Vernon Coleman, because it seems now we're again in lockdown, or they're arguing in Parliament. I think they need to get those politicians back in there and take the job off Boris. But anyway, more about that another time. I'm going to read the words of Dr. Vernon Coleman. You can hear him himself speak about it if they haven't taken him down again from YouTube, and you can hear him speak the words himself on brand new Tube. He puts his podcasts up there, so the more voices get out there, we want you all to hear his words. These are his, not mine, and they are his passing observations on coronavirus special 14. So I'm going to, it's not a long one, I'm going to do them in short clips from now on rather than long ones. The long ones, they tend to, do something to them. So point 1. Much is being made of the claim that 100,000 people have died of the coronavirus in America. Might I suggest that those who find this figure, which is generally agreed by doctors to be a wild exaggeration, a good reason for the lockdowns and social distancing, take a look at the number of people who died in America last year of the flu, the figure for which is generally agreed to be accurate. 2. It seems that in the UK, the government is planning to allow hairdressers to open before dentists. Both lots of workers get up close and personal with their patients, but dentists work in sterile surroundings and are well accustomed to wearing masks, gloves, and so on. Well, actually, hairdressers wear gloves when they perm and colour. So what is going on? I believe this is all a deliberate attempt to destroy NHS dentistry and save huge amounts of money. See the piece that I've already done on NH dentistry on his website, drvernoncoleman.com. 3. In order to satisfy social distancing requirements, there are plans to widen pavements everywhere. The cost of this will of course be phenomenal, but the side effect will be to make roads narrower and inevitably to make all sorts of motorized travel, cars, lorries, etc., even more difficult, and so less oil will be used. There is no doubt that all this is part of the plan to save our rapidly diminishing stocks of oil. If you want to know more about what is happening now, I suggest you read Dr. Coleman's book about what is happening now. In the book is called A Bigger Problem Than Climate Change. It is available on Amazon. Bigger Problem Than Climate Change by Dr. Vernon Coleman. 4th, on the 27th of May, the EU announced that they would be putting together a recovery fund of €750 billion. This was widely reported by newspapers and TV. In Dr. Vernon's book called Coming Apocalypse, published in April, I suggested, that's he did, in the March 14th entry that the EU would need to raise 700 billion. The truth, I'm afraid, is that my keyboard does not have the sign for a euro, and so I put my estimate down in sterling, which is still pretty close. 5. I now think it was a pity that Coleman did not win the last election in the UK. We would have had a communist government, but I don't think it would have been quite so communist as the government we've been given by Comrade Boris. And we would have certainly had less social distancing. Well, I think we need completely new political parties. No Labour or Tories or Conservatives or what have you. I think we need to chuck them all out and make our own different ones. 6. All Trump has to do to win the November election in the US is to demand a television debate with the unfortunate Biden, who won't know why he's there or who the devil Trump is. Sorry. 7. I'm not surprised to see China getting heavy with Hong Kong, nor indeed will the readers of my book Coming Apocalypse be surprised. Here is what I wrote in that book, my entry for April 14th. It is illuminating to think back to the days before the panic began. In France, the Yellow Vest riots were still in full flow. President Macron had pretty much lost control of his country. In Hong Kong, the demonstrators were causing mayhem, and the Chinese government was facing serious problems. All over the world, protesters were causing chaos with demonstrations inspired by climate change campaigns. In Europe, there were increasing tensions as countries such as Italy and Greece struggled with a currency that was too strong for them. The German people were becoming very touchy about the future cost of supporting the European Union, and the issues over Brexit were still causing serious concern among hardline Remainers, who were still hoping to overturn the democratic will of the British people. In the United States, the ideological battles were heightened as the presidential election got underway. The world was, in short, in rare turmoil. Today, the world is pretty much one big police state. Amen, I say to that, Vernon, after the experience outside the Tate Gallery at the Trafalgar Square protest on the Saturday 26th of September this year. That proved it to all of us there. We knew that Great Britain is, in the city of London, a police state. They were all waiting from morning. I arrived travelling on a bus at 10 a.m, passing all the side streets, saw all the police vans with all these awful looking policemen. I mean, they weren't like your normal policemen in the jackets and stuff like that. And they were in police vans and territorial vans. And they came in like troopers around 3 o'clock. They charged people, and it was mayhem. They caused it. They were violent to people, not the other way around. Been to football matches for years and never seen anything like that. Anyway, better get back to finishing the last few lines. This one's shorter than usual. I'm doing them in stages. Okay, Demonstrations of any kind are outlawed. Well, not all of them. They wanted to outlaw this, but they didn't have a chance, did they? And there is now talk that social distancing will have to be indefinite. And all the businesses going to the wall. What are we going to do about that? Researchers talk of a need for more surveillance. Convenient, eh? I'm stopping there. I'm going to do the other observation also on its own, because it's too much to take in when you do a whole long one. That's what I believe anyway. I think that they have to be done in little bits, because it's a lot to take in on your brain to realise that after all this brainwashing and psychological warfare which has been going on for months, people must get drained. So I think hearing a bit at a time and digesting it is the best way for all this information and thoughts, for you to know that not everyone thinks like the governments of the world, and our one in particular. Chaos. It's not fair to people who need to work, who've got children, and people being bankrupt and losing all their money. And we have to tell the truth, whatever we believe is the truth, and the facts that we get on this health thing. They did it all wrong. They should have done it as they did in Sweden. Then everyone could have continued working, and old people could have stayed at home, which they should do if they're not well. If you're well, it's up to you whether you go out or not and get something and drop down, isn't it? Okay, God bless.